Hey everybody, welcome to the In All Things podcast. It's time to see God in everything.
All right, good morning everybody. Welcome to another episode of the In All Things podcast. My name is Steve Markle and I'm here with
Mitch Frost.
Hey, welcome back.
Been a while since I've been at this table.
It is good to have you back. Is it good to be back?
Yeah, good to be back. Yeah.
Good. How is life and ministry going for you? Let's talk about ministry first. So You dove back in after having your first child.
Yep, week after.
The week after.
Yep.
Ministry doesn't stop, does it?
Nope, doesn't stop. So got right back into it. And things have been going well. Last couple of weeks have been good at the well. But yeah, just different right now. It's a whole different pace of life, and first time that it's been like, without my wife doing everything. So that's kind of a weird, like, oh, this is awkward. Like, who do I go to with all my random stresses and random things? She's not there. And then it's like the first time that I've like when I'm gone from home doing the well, whatever, it's like, oh, I want to be at home. Like I kind of, it's kind of weird not being there. Like I feel like not bad, but just like I want to be there. I want to help. I want to be a part of it. So it's just kind of different right now, but everything's going well.
That's good. So you had a new series you kicked off last night, which was called 7.
It's called 7. Yep. Looking at the 7 statements that Jesus made from the cross. Was supposed to get through the first 3 last night and only got through the first 2. Just because I felt like there was, some things that needed to be said on the second one that we kind of took a lot more time on than I planned to. So next week we'll be doing the last 5. But some of them are shorter, so not worried about it. But just kind of a different light on the Easter season and those kind of things. There's a lot of people that don't think a lot about Jesus' 7 statements from the cross, and took a lot of effort and energy to speak from the cross. Right. So clearly everything that he said was said on purpose. So just kind of breaking that down.
That's awesome. It's hard to believe. Right now as we record, it's less than 2 weeks till Easter. So when this comes out, it'll only be like a week or so till Good Friday and then Easter. And we love that time of the year here at Sycamore Creek. We have a Good Friday service planned, a worship night with communion and a lot of just different elements, but a lot of music. And we always have a great time at that service. And then Easter Sunday, we're doing 3 services. So for you, it'll be your first Easter as a dad, which is pretty exciting. You have a dress picked out?
I think my wife and her have like very similar things that they're wearing for Easter. For sure. So I'll just try to be a part of that as well. But I won't wear a dress.
You won't be, okay. Let me ask you this. We yesterday were part 4 of a series called Seek and Save. And so I've been doing messages in the book of Luke, and yesterday we looked at the prodigal son. And I'm sure you've heard that preached and taught many times. And so you sat in there yesterday. Was there anything that hit you that, when you were hearing the message, anything that you thought of differently, or how does it impact you? I mean, like thinking about your life and where you are and what you do.
That's, like you said, it's a popular story to teach and preach on. It's been done a lot. And so, in ministry, you've heard it taught a lot. You've probably taught it a lot. It's just it's an awesome, parable that Jesus gave, an illustration that he gave for the Father's love for us. And so you just hear it taught a lot. And I think yesterday was a reminder for me of just, of the 2, I typically lean more towards the other brother that's kind of left out and feels like, oh, I've been here doing this the whole time. What about me kind of a thing? Because I had moments of, being a prodigal son, I guess, but I didn't have any crazy, thing. I've been raised in church my whole life, and have a really great family and parents that just kind of raised me in that way, and things like that. And so, the prodigal son has always been like, for me, when I hear that story taught, and when I think about those things, it's a reminder of how big God's love is and how big his grace is and things like that. But I don't see myself in that spot as much. And so when the story is flipped and Jesus starts to talk about the other brother, that's when I'm like, okay, that kind of hurts, because I've found myself in those shoes more often than not compared to the 2. And so, that was kind of just a reminder for me of just like, okay, like,
I know. I relate that way as well, but I think that, and you're 3 years in the ministry, but it is a challenge when you're preaching a message on a topic or a story that has been preached so many times, and people have heard it. You're like, how do I say something different in a way that maybe they haven't heard it before? But then you just got to sometimes let the story preach itself. And yesterday, you were at 9:30. It was at 11. It was same message, obviously, but near the end, when I was in my last point, I got choked up in the part just about the Father wanting us to come home. And I just felt that heartbreak for the people that need the Lord. I don't know. There's just so many people that are lost in this world today. And I think sometimes, and I've shared this recently in a few different messages, just thinking about how there's so many people that are lost. And I think sometimes we get caught up in what we do in ministry, so many different things. Like you have so many different things. You got Strongholds Retreat coming up, which is awesome. And there's so much discipleship to do. But sometimes we, I think can lose sight of the main mission, which is to reach people for the Lord, reach people for Jesus that are far from God. And we can live in our bubble. And it's just a reminder how much God loves everybody. And even when we don't find ourselves maybe as the prodigal, I think we're all prodigals at some point, and we're just on varying levels. So we had a good discussion in my small group last night about that very thing. So yeah, so we got 2 weeks left. This week we'll be talking about Zacchaeus and that story, and then you got Easter. So super excited about that. So I know I get to be the person usually that is coming into the podcast with not too much information about what's going on today. And so today it's the script is flipped and you don't know, but you think that I'm going to talk to you about becoming a dad.
Thinking about my current life and the changes that have been, happening and haven't been on the podcast for a while because of that reason, I would assume that's probably what you're going to be
I thought it'd
about.
be the easiest thing for you to talk about because it's right on the top of your mind, on the top of your heart right now. And so I think as of right now, you are still the newest dad at Sycamore Creek Church.
Yeah,
now, I know your brother and his wife are going to have a baby this week, but he wouldn't be a new dad. He'd be a third-time dad.
True, that's true.
So you are the one that just experienced this a little over a month ago, becoming a dad for the first time. And I'm going to, I went and I'm trying to think, what do I want to do? How do I want to talk about this with you? And what I did was I found a article that was written by a fairly new dad. And his son just turned 2, so he had 24 months of being a dad.
Okay.
And he wrote a list of 24 things to know about being a dad.
Okay.
Some of them were very quick. I'm going to read them, and you can react to each one.
Okay.
And some of them just be like, yep, that's true. We're going to move on to the next one because they're just obvious, all right?
Okay.
But I think that this is a good list, and some of them are funny. Some of them are just heartfelt, and I think you'll react and relate to most of them. Some of them, there's a few of them I thought, you need a little bit more time before you really feel it. But the first one is this. There's no good time to have a kid, and you're going to be fine.
Absolutely. When we, first week, which we might get into, but just kind of feeling overwhelmed with just everything. And, especially with the first time kid, it's kind of like 0 to 100, like, oh no, you're doing this now. There's no other option. And so we had some moments just with me, my wife and I of just like, oh my gosh, this is a lot. And at one point we had that conversation, that moment of like, if we were, 27, 28, we would be feeling no different than we're feeling right now. It's just going through it for the first time.
But
so
people give you crap for being young, right? There's some people that are like, you're so young, you haven't been married long enough, you're going to lose all of your time that you could have together and money. You can't afford it. Do you think you'd be able to afford it in a few years better?
It's not going to be that different.
Right? Like the bills are already coming in. So it's like there's no good time. You're going to be fine. We started when we were 23, and that you're 23, right? So it's a good time when you're young, have energy, right? So there's the second one he said was get ready for early mornings. Caffeine is your friend.
Yeah, I'm not. I mean, we've talked about that before on here. I'm not a big caffeine person.
Right.
So I've kind of just been a little bit extra tired, but I haven't been doing the caffeine thing too much. Everybody's been telling me through every stage of life, just wait till you get here. You're going to get into coffee. You're going to start doing this.
Right.
Still hasn't happened for me. So I've had a couple days of like, all right, I got an energy drink. I got something, an afternoon nap here or there, whatever. But I've been trying to stay away from the caffeine. So far, doing pretty good.
That's good. I told you, and you, I know, listened to the Correct Opinions podcast with Trey Kennedy, and they talked about this very thing about becoming a dad and parents for the first time. And they said there's all these people that say, just wait till this happens. And that's annoying, right? When people tell you that. So I thought instead of telling you my thoughts, I tell you from a young dad. So here's number 3. There will be good days and there will be bad days.
Amen.
There's days when things are going smooth and your child is just having a great day. Then there's days of meltdowns and there's nothing you can do to soothe her. And that has been true so far.
Yeah, there's been a couple, but so far, some people, man, I'm such a new parent that I don't want to be like, oh, this is how I think about parenting. But I don't think that newborns just cry to cry.
Right.
And so for the most part, we've been able to figure out, okay, she's crying, it's got to be this. But some of those reasons can't be worked out in the moment. So there has been moments of, long periods of crying, but there's always a reason.
So there's good days, there's bad days, but there's always a fresh start tomorrow. If today's bad, sometimes tomorrow starts really early, right? Number 4, ask mom if she needs help. If this was on the list of order of priority, he said this should be number 1.
Yep.
Always asking your wife, Charlotte's mom, is there anything that you can do to help her? Yeah.
I feel like that's through pregnancy, in the hospital, and a lot of the newborn period, that's kind of my role, I feel like, is hey, what can I do? What do you need? Making sure the water's filled up, bringing her food, just like always trying to be the support system.
Are you good at reading signals, you think, without being told?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't need to be told for a lot. Some things are like, hey, can you do this? And I'm like, oh, I didn't even think about it. But for the most part, I'm trying to, just read the situation, figure it out. What does she need?
The guy that wrote it said he's not good at picking up signals, so he just asks all the time, what do you need? And I think I was good at that to a point, but then sometimes I'm like, I just need to ask, and it'd be something surprising. So you never know, but that's good. Number 5, create a routine and stick with it.
I think that one's too, newborns don't really have a routine, I feel like. So I don't think that's really our
I remember one
yet.
morning in the, I think, first or second week, and I texted you, how's it going? You're like, we figured out a routine, and then the next day you're like, it's over.
Yeah.
The routine was blown. So it's kind of...
Every couple of days it changes. It's like, oh, okay, she likes this. And then it's like, nope, she doesn't anymore, so let's do this. And then, so it's just, everything we're reading and talking to and looking at is like 6 or 7 weeks, they start to understand routine. So we're getting there. But
and if anybody's listening and has advice, you can just email Mitch and tell him how to get a routine down for your newborn. All right, now, I think this one's good. Number 6, he said, changing diapers suck. How do you feel about that?
It's not nearly as bad as everybody told me it would be.
Actually, it might get worse as they get a little bit older, but
that's fine. Yeah,
that's all right. Right? The blowouts, the diaper rashes. Haven't had that yet. Have you? A little bit. Okay. He said you get well acquainted with your child's anatomy. Keep plenty of wipes, Desitin, and extra diapers, and a change of clothes even for yourself ready.
Yep.
With a boy, there's more issues that can take place.
Understood.
And so anyway, that's good. So you haven't gotten to the point where that's made you throw up or anything like that.
Nope, nothing like that.
All right, that's good. Number 7, have a date night.
Yes.
Have you had one yet?
We have not had one yet, but we have one coming up this week, and we're already counting down the days. So we're going out on Saturday.
It's hard, isn't it? Like it's hard to think about. And that first time the two of you go away, it's going to feel weird. But if you trust the person, a grandmother that's there to watch it, I'm sure you'll be fine. It'll be good for you. And then number 8, he said, have family night. And that's maybe something that Charlotte's not going to remember right now. But what about having family night? What does that mean to you?
I remember times like that growing up. And I still remember them to this day of just like Friday nights was a lot of we're going to get pizza and we're going to, hang out, play games or have people over. That was a big thing in our house was, there was always people there. And so I remember those nights of just it was almost special. Like it was like, it's that time of week for us to, eat out or us to do this and little things. But, and then I'm from a relatively big family with a lot of siblings. And so as I got a little bit older, those family nights looked a little bit different where it was like me and my brother Rex would have once every other week, we would call them bro nights, but we'd have nights where it was just like, he could drive. We're gonna go to the store. We're gonna pick out whatever we want. We're gonna rent a movie from Redbox and we're gonna watch And so, but I those things stand out to me. Traditions stand out to me growing up of Christmas time and we would do things on like Halloween. I just remember all those things. And so I'm pretty sentimental when it comes to traditions. And so the thought of eventually, like you said, she has no idea, but eventually
she enjoys that. But
starting those things with her is gonna be pretty special.
Creating those habits even when she's a newborn or so soon. So I remember that you made me think about we would have that Friday night tradition of pizza and Blockbuster. Now I don't know if Blockbuster was still
sure was
when you were young. So we would go.
I'm not that young.
Well, I know, but I was like, when did Blockbuster close?
When
did it become just like?
Ago.
So it seemed like Netflix. Remember when Netflix started? It was they would mail you the DVDs.
I never did that. I did.
You
Blockbuster.
Never did that. You missed that phase of.
Never did that.
Okay, well that was a thing for a while, and But I remember, when our 3 older kids, which Lexi, Tori, and Zach, when they were little, Friday nights was going to Blockbuster, getting 2 movies. You see one for them and to watch as a family, and then maybe one for Sharon and I after they go to bed. Family night.
Scramblers in Pickerington was our Blockbuster.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's where. Oh, yeah.
That was our Blockbuster.
I think I remember seeing pictures or something, but now, it was gone before I was here. Very cool. Number 9, you're going to be, quote, that family at the restaurant. Now, you haven't done this yet, but it's going to happen. He said, don't fight it. In the first few years, you're going to have a night where you go to the restaurant with Charlotte, and she is going to be the perfect angel. People will walk by your table and compliment you on having the best child they've ever seen. And then there's going to be nights when she turns into a devil child, throws her food, and screams at the top of her voice. So his advice was to don't go out to nice restaurants, go to family restaurants that are loud and noisy anyway.
Yep.
So anyway.
We don't go out to nice restaurants anyway.
I know.
Not our thing.
Like,
so, that's perfect.
So your first restaurant that you will take her to, if you had your way, what would it be?
I don't know. We'd probably do like a Roosters or something like that.
Yeah,
so
good.
where it's like if she's loud, it
Nobody-
doesn't really matter.
It doesn't really matter anyway.
So that's probably what we would do.
Yeah. That's something to look forward to.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, when they're babies and you just have them sitting there and they're sleeping, that can be great.
Yeah.
But anyway, number 10, you're going to be, quote, that parent on social media. You're going to post pictures a lot about what your kid did. You're going to annoy your non-parent friends, so embrace it. If your friends don't like it, they can filter their feed. Do you think you'll be like that?
I don't know. Yes and no. We've posted a couple times, a little bit. I don't think we want to over post, but it's hard because we think she's really cute. But a big thing for me is just like, and I was talking to some friends. We had some friends over a couple weeks ago that are all very similar ages as us, and they were kind of talking about how like they're kind of looking at us now of kind of, paving the way for when they're ready for kids. And it kind of made me think of, I know this is like, whoa, but like big, like social media, big picture, I could use some of those things to help young parents and young people kind of think about parenting. Cause I kind of realized that like, oh yeah, there isn't a lot of people that are, having kids right now at 23.
Right.
And so it could be something interesting to post about and think about as she grows up and everything like that. But
I think if you flood social media with it, people stop caring and start speaking too much. But I think it's nice too. Now we have records and go back and look at pictures, and it's pretty cool. So number 11, nobody knows how to raise your child except you. This is the advice thing. Where the second you're going to have a child, probably the whole pregnancy, people were giving you advice about things, and then now that you have a child, people come out of the woodwork with advice. The best thing he said is to nod your head and say, "Oh, thanks." Is that your?
Yeah, that's my go-to of just like, yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
Like,
Do you believe in parental instincts? Do you think there's instincts that are like that you just have and then your wife has that are?
I do. Yeah. I mean that. There's no other way to explain what has happened over this past month, and even like in the hospital. Like, like I was really nervous going into the whole thing because I have a lot of nieces and nephews, but I've never been good with newborns, never been good with holding them, never been good at transitioning, never really changed a diaper. So I was nervous about all of that stuff going into it. And it all just clicked. There was so much in the hospital that I was just like, oh my gosh, like it's my kid, and it's like I get it now, And so I do think I don't think it's the same for everybody, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think some people are born with or raised, and they kind of just start thinking about that stuff earlier on.
Right.
And some people don't, and they kind of have to work a little bit harder to learn that stuff. I think that's just different by personality and things like that. But I do think to some degree there is parental instincts that everybody kind of has, and when you have your own kid, it kind of just like, oh, okay, this is what people talk about, or this is how you do that.
Right.
Like it just kind of clicks.
Do you think and Jared's in the room here too. Do you think that you have this as a dad, this feeling obviously for your own child, but like some people love everybody's kids. Do you feel like you don't really have a desire to hold other people's kids or change other people's kids' diapers? You're like, I'm not going to do that. But there's something like, some people just, especially dads, it clicks with their own kids.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I've never been a newborn person. So like, oh, that's a cute baby. Great.
Right.
Like I've never really been like, oh, give me, even with, yet again, with my nieces and nephews, like once they get like a year, year and a half, I have like always been like a big kid person. Just like the fun uncle. Like I've always been that way, but I've never been a newborn person ever.
Right.
Until I had my own daughter. And now I'm like all about it. Like I get home and I'm like, I want to hold her. Like I'll take her. Like it's just, I love it. But I've never been that way with any other, and I'm still I still don't think I will be with other people's
Right.
kids.
Yes.
Like some people,
Yeah.
somebody's asked me that of just like, just having your own baby, like, are you more prone to just like, like babies and whatever? And I'm like, not really. It's still
Like
just
you
like
would
my
serve in the
daughter.
nursery if you could right now.
No, I don't think so.
No.
But with mine,
I
it's
agree.
completely
I
different.
agree. It's my kids and my grandchildren. Beyond that, like, yeah, I think other kids are cute. And
Absolutely.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
And yeah, but I think it's something instinctual there.
On the advice thing, though,
Yeah.
it is funny because, working in ministry, you have a lot of people around you that
Yes.
all think that, you want to hear their advice
Absolutely.
and their opinions. And the thing that has made me laugh the most so far has been, I'm calling out some very specific demographics here, but has been the older, dads and men who have had kids a long time ago, who probably raised their kids very differently.
Right.
And so they like to, make comments as if things are exactly the same in 2023 as they are in whatever year we want to talk
Right.
about. So that's been pretty funny so far
Yeah.
of just like, the first week I was here, people come up to me and, hey, is your wife sleeping at all? And I'm like, well, we're both kind of, oh, you're both up? You're both doing, and it's like, well, yeah, it is my
Right.
kid too. And
Right.
it's just kind of funny that some of those moments of just like, it's very different of, not anything wrong, but back in the day, I know that it was a little bit more common for dads to be hands off and, oh, the wife's the one who can feed them, so who cares? And some of those kind of attitudes. And it's funny how different things are now is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
But
and I think it's different for each person too. But yeah, I think some of the culture has changed on all of that, and I think it's good. Number 12, you're going to love more than you ever knew was possible. You're never going to forget the moment that Charlotte was born, and you'll instantly love this person that you've never met. Immediately, what was that emotion and that feeling you felt in that? Can you describe it?
I don't think there's really a way to describe it. Somebody was asking me, something like very similar about that, and everybody tells you that before you have a kid.
Yeah.
Nothing like it. There's nothing like it. There's nothing like
You're
it.
like,
And it's
okay.
like, cool, yeah, I bet that's true. And then in the moment you go, oh, there really is nothing like it.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's funny because it's, Lexi got, the wife carries the baby for 9 months.
Right.
They have that connection. They feel the baby
Right.
moving and breathing, and Lexi could feel her hiccups for like 3 months, like
Right.
all of those things.
Right.
And as the dad, you're kind of just like,
Yeah.
I can see that she's growing,
Yeah.
but that's
Yeah.
about it. I can
Right.
feel her a little bit. And,
Yeah.
But like the moment that she was born, and it was like, oh, that's a human being. Like that's, like it just, there's nothing else like it. I don't really have words to put to it. It was just immediate, just like sobbing and just like, you just can't describe it, and just the first time getting to hold her and just all those things. It's just like, I'm never going to forget it,
Right.
that moment being in the hospital and
You
seeing
won't.
her for the first time and just all those things. It was awesome.
You don't know that that's possible.
No. First time
feeling.
that you've like, wow, I never felt that way before.
Right. And it's the miracle
Yeah.
is just unbelievable, and the way God created all of that to take place. Is just
I was talking to somebody of just like, this is like one of those things for me where it's like, I don't understand how people don't believe in God. This is
right.
one of those things, like just watching her, she's a little over a month and already just developing and starting to see more and look around more, and just like, I just don't get how you see that, or if you go through that and you don't believe that there was something bigger than science behind it. Like it's so just amazing, and it's like the little just like fingers and toes and breath. It's just like, it's like, how do people believe that this is just chance, or this is just like, it's insane
evolution
to me,
to get to this point from.
It's just crazy.
In all things, just takes me back to that God works in all things, and in seeing God. If you can't see God in the birth of a child, I don't know how you can't. I don't understand.
Yeah.
Number 13, you'll enjoy this one. Your pets will take a back seat. Your pet children.
True.
They'll turn into one more mouth to feed and mess to clean up, or whatever they are. And your newborn is the star of the house. But eventually, they'll get more love and attention because they'll grow to love her, and she'll grow to love them.
Right.
So, have they been good?
They've been good.
Your
We have
little
two.
dogs?
One of them, our puppy, she is obsessed with the baby. We call her baby. She is just like kissing her and all over and
Yeah.
loves it. And like every time she cries, she kind of like looking around, making sure she's good. And when we burp her, she like kind of stares at us like, don't hit her. Like she's very like
protective.
so gentle, and it's awesome. And then the other one's like a very independent dog, so she's just kind of like whatever. It's causing me not to sleep as much. So but they've been great. We haven't had any problems. I can't imagine how. I know stories of people who bring babies home with dogs that didn't go well, and, I can't imagine how hard that would be.
That would be really hard.
And so we haven't had that experience, thankfully.
Good. That's good. This number 14 is probably too soon. Pick your battles, but I think at some point you'll have this experience where she'll be wanting to do something, and you'll be like, "Do I make a big deal about this or not?" And maybe right now that's not something, but sometimes. I think even when they're newborn, you've had all this advice, and I know some people get caught up in reading books, and you're like, just let them cry, just let them cry. And I think, you have to choose. Do you let them cry, or do you soothe them? Do you try to do whatever you can? But pick your battles. Save that one for later.
Yeah.
How about 18 or 15? Mommy makes it better. For some reason, dad is the fun one, the disciplinarian at times, but a lot of times when it comes to bumps, bruises, and bad dreams, mommy always makes it better. Now, still, it's early for this one, but do you think there's a special bond with the mom and her children, more so than with the dad, or do you think it can be the same?
Yes and no. I think it's different. I think that Charlie obviously is very connected to Lexi because, yet again, 9 months.
Yeah.
And also Lexi is the source of life for her right now, and she very clearly knows that.
Yeah.
But there has been times where, if she's upset or she's has stomach problems, whatever, and I take her and am very calm and don't get agitated and kind of walk around, whatever, and she'll very quickly calm down because babies know that, whatever you're feeling, they're kind of sensing, right?
Yes.
And so there is a degree of that too, to where I think she's comforted by both of us, and sometimes like Lexi or I can't calm her down. Lexi takes her, she's calm. Sometimes Lexi can't calm her down. I take her, she's calm. So it's kind of just like the ebb and flow of.
You're saying what the next one he said was, but sometimes Daddy makes it better too.
Yeah.
So I think that's a give and take, and knowing each other. And you're right about their intuition on, even as a 1 month old, of knowing when you're stressed, they don't calm down.
First week of just like. The first real night we had of her just kind of inconsolable, I guess, just kind of like crying. We couldn't figure out why, and we weren't quite aware of the fact that babies aren't good at pooping, so sometimes they get really, really mad. And so our first real run-in with that of just like, she's changed, she's fed, we don't know what's going on, and I was just like kind of upset and just holding her and just kind of like, I don't know what to do, and like I 100% she could feel it, like, because Lexi was calm. She came in, she took her, calmed down, and I was just like, oh my gosh, like just mad. But
sometimes it will stress you out. Yeah, that's for sure.
So
17, time goes too fast. Doesn't matter how many times you hear somebody say it. Cherish this time because they're going to grow up fast. Yeah. You said something to me. I think it was last week, and you may have said it to multiple people, but something about it's a month already. And that's hard to believe, but at the same time, it's been the longest month of your life.
Yep.
What did you mean by that?
Longest and slowest month of my life so far, I think. I cannot believe she's a month old, like a month and a couple days now. That's crazy.
Yeah.
But at the same time, when I actually like start thinking about that, and I think about how long some of the days have been and nights have been, that's when I'm like, okay, no, she's a month. Like a lot of time has passed. Right. But then at the same time, I'm like, geez, like Lexi and I are already, it's so. Like crybaby to say, but Lexi and I are already having those moments of just like, she's never going to be this small again. She's never going to be this little again. Right. Like she's already, we're probably going to move up diaper sizes soon and all this stuff. And it's just like, come on, like we just, just started this. Like, so yeah, I mean, it moves.
But there's so much
fast.
to look forward to. And
For sure.
Like you said earlier, you'll love even the later stages even more when she starts smiling and
I think
interacting with you.
We both will. My wife and I both are not newborn crazy people. Our daughter is changing that, but we're not just like, oh gosh, so we're both kind of older kid, that's like where we thrive, but we both kind of have to remind ourselves of like, but we're not wishing this away, like we're never going to have this back, so we need to kind of balance the two of like enjoying it, loving it, the baby snuggles and the just the tiny little human, but at the same time we are excited for what's to come too, so it's a balance of the two.
18, you're going to make sacrifices. You're going to make sacrifices. It's going to be tough. You've talked about sleep loss. You seem pretty like you got maybe a good night's sleep last night.
Yeah, actually, last night was really good.
Yeah, so that's good. Always sacrifices. 19, the struggle will get real. He said, let's be honest, we're not all millionaires. It's going to be expensive at times. Diapers are expensive. Sometimes he said we'll be eating ketchup sandwiches. Probably not. You won't do that.
Maybe.
I don't know. Maybe. But
our meal train's ending this week. So
that's been nice, right? Has that been good?
It's been good.
But the struggle will get real. I think everybody knows that. Number 20, mom and dad need alone time too. Not just a date night together, but you need time. You get to go to work. I guess that is nice for you in a sense to get a break. But your wife also needs breaks, and maybe by herself or with friends, going out, doing that type of thing. It's kind of can be frustrating at times and stressful when
we did. Yeah, last week, or I think beginning of last week, there was a day where it was like she was kind of just feeling pent up and had been in the house for pretty much nonstop and was like, kind of just want to like go to the store, so maybe we'll just take her. And I was like, no, you go. I'm good. I'll stay here with her.
Right.
And she went for a couple hours and just felt very refreshed.
I love that.
Like just to get out of the house. Yeah. And she was also like, it feels weird to be away from her and everything. But yeah. And then Saturday too, like she was just feeling exhausted and had been up the previous night more than I had. And so I was just like, you go upstairs, take a nap, take a shower, self-care, do whatever you want. I've got her. And I had her for like 3 or 4 hours and just trying to give her breaks. Because like you said, I mean, I'm going back to work and doing some of those things. And so I get a little bit more breaks out of the house than she does right now. So I'm trying to find ways to just, let her, not off the clock, but you know what I mean?
I know what
just kind of catch her breath and get away from
she needs
everything
it
for a little bit.
Yeah, you both need it. And 21, don't be afraid of asking for help. He said there's no way we could have gotten through the first couple years of being a parent without help from family and friends, and we're grateful. So I think you guys know that, and you do that probably well.
We struggle with this more than some people do, just because we never want to be a burden, both of us. And so that was a conversation we had before we had her. It was just like, we're going to have to get better at asking for help. We're going to need help. We're going to have to say, hey, we need this. And that's okay. People are offering it. We're surrounded by family. We got to take advantage of that. But we both just naturally struggle with, being, oh, we need this, or, oh, we'd really like this. Like we just struggle with that. And so, but we have been able to have times of, family coming and just holding her so we can go shower, or we can go lay down, or we can go just sit there and eat our dinner without, at the same time. Like we've had moments like that, but
That's good. 22, you'll realize your purpose in life. What do you think about that one?
Yeah. I for sure am in kind of rearranging some priorities and some things in my own heart and life of just realizing like, this is really what it's all about. Like, and just like, it's hard to think about, pretty much anything else if I'm not, like if they're not good and they're not taken care of and they're not, so it really is just like a whole different priority structure for me. Even if with her being a month old, it's just like that, that family unit of 3 now has really become like the most important thing, and I think that's how it should be. But it's just, that's interesting for me because being young and driven and whatever, before her a month ago, like that, I was like, just a bunch of other things that I was just like, oh, this is everything. And then now it's just like, nope,
those things aren't
that'll happen, but it's not nearly as important.
Yeah, I don't like the statement in that you'll realize it because you've had a purpose in life before that, but your purpose changes, I think, very much so. So number 23, playing with your kids is the best thing ever. Now, she's not really playful yet, but you'll realize that. And I've seen you with your nieces and nephews, and I know that that's something you can't wait to be able to do. And then number 24, and this is really just something you need to hear. You're going to be an awesome dad. Sometimes you might not feel like it. I know there's times when I felt like not a great dad. And, you lose your temper, or you feel like crap for being the disciplinarian, or you make a mistake and you just are worn out. But there's no perfect dad. And at the end of the day, no matter what you do, if you have the attitude that you do right now and the passion like you do right now and are involved in your child's life, even when you make mistakes, you're going to be an awesome dad. It's overwhelming, right? Is this the biggest responsibility you've ever had in your life?
For sure.
Like, how does it compare to like this job? Like, you work here at the church and you're a student pastor, and all the responsibilities that you have felt from that, because that's a lot of weight. And now you have this other responsibility, this new responsibility of raising a daughter. So how do you, it's like this new balancing act in your life, but it's priorities, right?
Mm-hmm.
And figuring it all out. So, any big surprises that you've had? Like, this is like I didn't expect.
In the first, like I said, the first week was probably the hardest for me, just because it took some adjusting to everything naturally, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I had I think it was like a day or two of just, okay, I'm gonna go in, she's crying, I'm gonna be super calm, and I'm gonna be patient, and I'm gonna figure it out, and then I would just get mad, and I would just get upset,
Yes.
and that's so not who I am or who I thought I was.
Right.
And so that was like kind of humbling the first week of just realizing like it was bringing out things deep within me that I didn't realize were there, of just like, feeling that frustration and feeling that, and I typically don't feel those things often.
Yes.
And so that was like, I got really upset and angry at myself. And then you just feel guilty because you're just like, why am I feeling angry at a newborn and a week old, and well, I shouldn't be feeling this way. I should be over the moon. And then it's like, and then you kind of work yourself into this cycle. I had, like a day or two of just like trying to work out of myself, some of those feelings, and then just kept hitting that wall of just like, I'm just upset and I don't like feeling that way. And so I texted, like, there was like 3 or 4 dads that I just sent this message to, and I was just like, I just need perspective. Anything you can give me, I need it. And it was pretty awesome talking to some of those guys of just like, it's normal. What you're feeling happens, and call me if you need it. And here's what you got to like. Here's what we did, and that just kind of like helped me get my feet back on the ground. And it's kind of been a process of working and getting better at that, and slower to all of those feelings. But I guess that was just something I didn't expect, was just like some of the inner struggle stuff to be revealed as quickly as it was. But at the end of the day, it's all worth it. Everything has been worth it so far. But some of those moments of just like, there was, just one night where it's like, I just need to go outside. I just need to take a moment. I just need to take a breath. And, I'm just going to go outside and throw the ball to the dog and just relax and, just kind of take a moment. And, but working on it, it's a process. And
I think it
getting
speaks
better.
to, your personality, very introspective, thinking about things, trying to figure things out and reading ahead. There's no script for it. There's no way to know how you're going to feel in that moment. And when you have something, a person, a human being, you can't control. And when you can't fix, they're crying or whatever they need is, and not understanding it, it's like, because you want to. And dads, tend to be fixers and want to make things right for everybody else. And you are, even in your nature, like to please people. And this is the person that you love beyond measure, her and your wife, and you want to make them feel good and happy. And it's like, I can't control that. And that's an overwhelming feeling. Yeah. But you're making the adjustments. Psalm 127, children are a gift from the Lord. A reward from him. So you have been rewarded with a beautiful daughter. And so what a blessing. So I think this conversation can be helpful to a lot of new dads out there and people that have been dads for a while, just a reminder of the blessing that it is to have a child. And I think some of you that were listening probably were taken back to those times in your life, whether you're a mom or a dad, when you had a child, and those feelings that are just so raw and are beautiful. And some of you that haven't had children yet and hope to one day, hopefully this is an encouragement for you. Don't rush into it, but when the time is right and God blesses you in that way, it's an amazing, amazing thing. So thank you for being open, honest, and sharing that today, and for being my guest.
Yeah, thanks for having me as a guest.
Yes. And so next week we flip back to whatever normal is, and you'll be back as the host, I guess, of our podcast. And as we always say, if you have questions, there's anything that you would like to ask and have us discuss, you can email us at podcast@sycamorecreek.org. And we look forward to having those future conversations about what's coming up in our church and what's going on in your lives and in our culture. So, but we do believe that God works in all things. And so that's what this podcast is all about. Any closing words?
That's it. That's all I got. I'm excited to be back.
Thank you all for listening, and we hope this has been a blessing to you. We'll see you next week.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the In All Things podcast. Our challenge for you today is to send this episode to one person. Seriously, think of somebody right now that could use this conversation and send it to them. If you have any questions, feedback, or topic ideas, please send them to podcast@sycamorecreek.org, and make sure you follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Sycamore Creek Church so that you can always see what's going on in our world. If this conversation helped you at all, make sure you share it, leave a review, and subscribe so that you don't miss out on a single episode. We love you, God loves you, and we'll see you next week on the In All Things podcast.